Welcome back, YouTube. As always, today's going to be a pretty informational video. If you've ever wondered about reloading, or if you're just plain tired of the ammo prices right now, this is a video for you. If you ever wondered just what the whole deal is with reloaders and why they like it so much, it's also a video for you. So we're going to compare some component costs right now as we see them, compared to the factory loaded ammunition as we see it. We're going to discuss some pros and cons, but we're just going to dive right into it. So here's the breakdown about reloading. Is it worth it? And I say right now, spoiler alert, absolutely yes. Let me tell you why. Trust me, you want to watch this. And for any of you that think you have an opinion differently, watch this anyway and you might learn something. Don't just click off, try to learn. So first of all, why are some of the reasons you might want to reload for yourself? Well, number one, control. You have ultimate control over your bullets when you reload them. You have control over the cost, you have control over the quantity to a point, and you have control over what's in them. You can control the grain weight of the bullet, the grain weight of the charge, and you can make it fit, tailored to your gun. If your gun's a little finicky about certain type of ammos, you can change the case overall length, or you can change the power of the round to reciprocate the slide differently and go with recoil springs that match. And you can really tune your ammo to your gun. That's pretty awesome. That's control. I like that. Despite what some people will tell you, it's also cost saving. Now, there's always the argument of if you reload and you save money reloading, that you're going to end up shooting more and you're going to blow all your savings. Well, that could be true for some people, but for other people, that's not always the case. There's always the argument of it costs too much to set up and all the equipment costs just outweigh what you're going to save. Well, like anything, just think about this for a second. Sure, there's always an initial cost, but you just calculate, and if you think you use a certain volume of ammunition, there's eventually going to be a point in a timeline where that's all going to meet itself, and that once the equipment's paid for, it's good to go. You're saving money all the way around, if that's how you want to look at it. I don't necessarily look at things like that. I just invest in a piece of equipment, and that's it. I've invested in it. It's something I wanted. Now I can go through the process. So you can look at it either way, but no matter what, it's eventually going to have a return on investment somewhere down the line. How fast? That depends on how much you shoot and how much you go through, or how much ammo you're attempting to prep and stash away. With, like I just said, prepping and stashing away. It's a survival skill, and it is a prepping tool. So if things become less available, like we've seen, or if things become not available and you're prepared, you'll be able to remake some of your ammunition. You'll be able to find components all over the place. You might learn how to make some of the powders or remake primers, melt down bullets. You'll always have the knowledge in your head to try to figure it out one next step farther of how to make survival type ammunition. When it's gone maybe in a total crap hit the fan scenario or a world without law scenario. We don't know what would ever happen. And when you're prepping, this could be a cost-effective way to prep a lot of ammo, because we're not maybe trying to, prep a bunch of Hornady critical defense or something like that. You're basically going to prep full metal jacket ammo, range type ammo. If you want to, you can primer seal and bullet seal your ammo, put it in vacuum packs, and it's going to last just as long as any factory ammo is going to. Another great thing is that you're going to learn a ton about ammunition. When you start reloading, when you get your first reloading book and you start going to some reloading forums and you get in a Facebook group that has reloading in it and you start talking to some of your friends, whatever, you're going to learn a ton. It's going to all come in at you. You're kind of going to get overwhelmed maybe, but you're going to learn a lot about not only reloading, but you're just going to learn about ballistics and bullets and bullet types, and you're going to learn about how brass works and how brass is malleable compared to steel and what that works like in your firearm, and all sorts of reasons why certain combinations of things do or don't work good or, terrible. You're going to learn all that, and it's going to really help you to understand some of the physics and just some of the basic workings of your firearm. It's invaluable knowledge. Now here's one that you don't want to tell your significant other if they're not into your gun hobby. Don't tell them this, but it's also addicting. It's fun. Once you get into it, you're going to want to reload any cartridge you ever mess with. It's just fun. I can't explain it. So there's something about going out there and shooting 200 or 300 rounds. You pick up all the brass if you can find all 200 and 300, and then you process it and you remake your ammunition and you sit back and you're like, look what I did. I just remade all the ammunition that I shot, and I did it cost effectively usually. But it becomes kind of an addicting hobby. You're really going to like it. That's why I said don't tell your significant other. They might use that one against you. And it just feels really good to know that you can make something like that. You normally, let's say with 308 brass, I really like making rifle rounds, bigger rifle rounds, because I have to go to Walmart and I have to spend $28 now for a box of Core-Lokt 308 soft point, or I can make it for 50 cents a round at home, and I can make it just as good, if not better, accuracy-wise, than I can buy from Remington. It's not that hard to make, and it takes a while to prep rifle brass, but it's fun. It's awesome. I like doing it. And the end product is, I sit there with 100 rounds sitting on the shelf, and I know I can take out there, and I can start drilling targets, hole and hole and hole, pretty much. That feels really good. When you go to a class and everybody's crying and, understandably crying, but they're mad because they just had to pay $600 for a case of this or a case of that, and you pull out your reloads. Sure, one or two people might make cracks about your reloads, but when you made them for 200 bucks and you have 10 times the ammo that they do, you're the winner. It kind of feels good in a way. You don't have to brag about it. You can be quiet about it, but it feels good. And it's really not that hard, trust me. Some people are so intimidated by reloading. We'll get into some of that in a different video, but it's not that hard. I mean, we have a piece of brass that you have to rework with an empty primer hole that you need to put a new primer into. You need to put the right amount of powder into it, and you need to put a new bullet into it. You need to squeeze them all together, and voila. Do that 50 times, and you have one of these. You can learn slow, you can get an easy press, a single stage press, and just take your time, read up, check everything, and it'll all be fine. It's really easy. There's always all this other stuff to learn. People like to overwhelm you in the forums, or they want to get in the comments and they want to just start throwing their opinion around, and they want to tell you how, you can't reload, it's so dangerous, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to blow your hands off and all this garbage. Stop with all that crap. It's not that hard. People can do this, trust me. So we're going to go outside and we're going to go look at some charts, and I'm going to show you the cost-effective part of reloading ammunition. Keep in mind that these are just a handful of numbers plucked from here and there. I know that there's variances all over the place. I know you can find things for more or for less, but at the time of the making of this video, these are the current numbers. And real quick, just for comparison before we go outside, here is pretty much current lowest prices that I could find on ammunition components. So, bullets, 45 caliber, 9mm. Now let's move on to brass. Here's a couple different kinds of 45 and 9mm. That's what we're looking at there. We know that primers are sitting at an average of $100 per brick. Sometimes you can walk into supposedly a Cabela's, I haven't seen it, but supposedly you can walk in there and get one for $60. I don't know. I've heard the price of $80 at some shops. Near me, it's $120. I've seen them online for $140, $150. So it gets wacky, but those are the prices. And this would be a great time to tell you about two of our other videos about primers with Expansion Industries and Southern Defense. Those two companies right there are going to bring us some primers that aren't from the big boys. Hopefully they bring us relief on availability and prices. You should check those videos out. An example of a really economical powder would be Tight Group at $188 for 8 pounds. It's a really economical powder. You just have to be careful not to overcharge it. It has a very small, range. You go from 4 grains to 6 grains, and that's all the world of difference. Trust me, you got to be careful with it. But it's very economical. All right, so let's break this down on paper. So for 9mm, your brass options are going to be new, used, or recycled brass, which is range pickup or anything you recycle on your own, not purchased. But new brass, 1,000 count, is going to cost you around $120 right now. That's what I'm seeing it for. It varies all over the place, but that's one of them. Used is about $35, $40, depending on where you see it, for 1,000. Now the bullets, where I'm going to show you, 115 grain 500 count is $36.34. Now if you times that by 2, we're at $72.68 per 1,000. Primers, we're going at $60 to $140 depending on where you can find them. If you can find them in a shop, or if you have to go for the scalpers or whatever in between, that's averaging out at about $100 per 1,000. 10 cents per primer. So powder, let's say you're using Tight Group. Tight Group is super economical, and I think if you're trying to pinch pennies, Tight Group's the way to do it, especially for range. So powder, 8 pounds of Tight Group, if you can get the 8-pound jug at $188 sometimes, that gives you 56,000 grains of Tight Group, 700 grains per pound, or 7,000 grains per pound. So with 56,000 grains of Tight Group, divided by an average load for 9mm would be 3.7. You can go lower than that, trust me. That gives you about 15,135 rounds. That equals out to about 1.2 cents per round, or $12 per 1,000 rounds. So take that all into account there. When you do the adding for the new brass, for the bullets, for the primers, for the powder, you're going to end up with making new brass cases for yourself $305 around there on average. You got tax and shipping and product availability and this and that to deal with, but about $305 or $15.23 per box of 50. That's what you can make new ammunition for. You can make the used brass ammunition, so remanufactured recycled brass that you had to buy, for about $220 a case, or $10.98 per box of 50. Now, if you can get your hands on recycled range brass, range pickup, or whatever, or you have a stockpile of stuff you've saved before, the recycled brass, so not having to pay for it, per case is going to be about $184 for 9mm. That's pretty good right now. So that's about $9.23 per box of 50. I know people right now that do it about as cheap as $8 per. If you do things like melt your own bullets, and if you go to other companies that make coated bullets, let's say DG bullets, or if you catch things on sale, you're going to get even cheaper than that. Now, if your primers are at the low end of $60, you can get your case made with recycled brass for about $145 or less. If you have to go with primers being super expensive, you're going to pay $140 for your case of primers. You're going to go for about $224 per case. Now, compared that to the factory new case that we saw at $300, so the cheapest we can see a factory new case brass is $300, but then you got to take account shipping and whatever else that goes with that. So is it worth it for 9mm? You tell me. Let's move on to 45, because that one costs a lot of money right now. It's hard to find cheap 45 anywhere. Alright, so now that you guys know the simple formula, I'm going to go through this one a little bit quicker. I'm not even going to worry about new brass, because that's all over the place for 45 right now. But used, 1,000 count is going for about $80, and that's kind of where it's been staying at. So $79 is the last I saw it for used at 1,000 count. The bullets, for 230 grain bullets, 500 count, $66.86, times that by 2, you're at $133.72 for 1,000 rounds. The primers are the same deal. We're going to have an average of $100 per 1,000. Powder, 8 groups of tight group, we can still use that. Now, with a tight group, it's going to be a little bit different. We're going to use 4.5 grains of tight group for 45 on average. That's what I like to use. I can get 12,444 rounds out of that. So that equals out to 1.5 cents per round of tight group powder, or $15 per 1,000 rounds. That's not bad for powder. So if you're using used brass per case, you can produce 45 ammunition for $328 average per case, or $16.35 per box of 50. And you don't see it for $16 very often, I don't think anymore, ever in the stores. Now, if you use recycled brass, you're picking up your own range stuff, or you've got just that awesome person that gives it to you or whatever, you can make it for about $250 a case, or $12.50 per box. Now that's right there where we used to see on sale 45. That's what I like to see it for. But if you do it with a low primer cost of maybe $60 per pack of primer, you're going to be doing it for $208 per 1,000. If you have to go with the high price primers at $140 per case, you might be doing $288 on average per 1,000. Still, no matter what, all these options are better than the lowest we saw it at $475 plus tax, shipping, and whatever. Truthfully, most of the time when I see 45, I'm never seeing it that low. A real company that we're used to, which I don't support the big guys at all, like we said, but they're averaging $550, $650, sometimes $750 a case for things like 45 and 10mm. This formula that we just used, you can use this on any bullet. Just pick your cartridge, pick your case, all that, and just do the math. Pick your favorite powder, figure out how much you have to use. If you like to load your stuff hot, it's going to cost you more. If you want to go conservative for range ammo, if you want to use low-end bullets, recycled bullets, blemish bullets, things that are on sale, use those, and that's how you get cheap. If you want to make your high-end ammo, you might have to pay for it still. But That's the formula. It's easy as pie, right there. So anybody that says it's cheaper to buy it, or it's just as cheap to buy it that it is to make it, and they talk about the wasted costs and all this, we'll get into the reloading machinery and all that, and the dies and stuff. But as far as on paper, if you have the equipment to make it and you can get your hands on the components, which you can, trust me, it's worth it. So there, we put it on paper. We showed you that you can use the same formula for just about any round. You can always save money shopping around somehow, some way. Now, equipment, we're going to have a separate video for that. You might want to subscribe if you're interested. But that video is going to detail the equipment that you need, some of the stuff that I have, some of the stuff that I'd like to have. But it's going to show you that you don't have to get this all at once. You can start very small, and then you can finally move up to something like a progressive. You don't have to have a progressive machine right off the bat. You can get a single stage, and you can start with one caliber. It's easy. That's not that expensive, trust me. Don't let people freak you out. The more you get into it, just like with any hobby, you can go all the way to the top. I'm sure out there's a $99 golf set. I don't play golf, but I'm sure there is. And I'm sure out there somewhere there's an easy to find $10,000 golf set, or much more. I don't know how much Tiger's sticks cost him, but I'm sure it goes all the way to the top. Same thing with reloading. You can start very minimal, a lot of kind of labor intensive, repetitive processes, or you can get the machines where you just sit back, load everything up, and fill a bunch of hoppers of things, and you touch an iPad, you hit go, and you sit back like this, and you just watch the machine work, and hope things don't go wrong. You have a little emergency stop button in your hand for when it all goes to chaos and everything starts shaking and going bananas and dumping powder all over the place. So, that's a mess. Been there before. Again, don't let people scare you. Just be safe. Double check everything. Always double check the data and know the data that you're working with. Get all the other data away from you. If you're working with 180 grain bullets, have data for 180 grain bullets matching the powder that you're using, and have that posted on the wall. Print it out and post it on the wall, or open the book to that page and put a leaf saver in it, and get all the other data off the table so that you don't mess up. Get all the other weighted bullets, all the other powders off the table. It's not that hard. Just follow basic safety rules. I would say number one is just don't believe negative crap from people. They're always going to have something to say in the comment section. They're always going to tell you why you shouldn't do something. Well, maybe it's because they're not doing something. They don't have the guts to do it. They don't have the equipment, the money, the time, the whatever. They just want to be a negative Nancy. They're sitting there with no bullets, crabbing about prices. You can get out there and do something and produce your own bullets. And hey, let's admit, this is sticking it to the companies, period. Just screw them. We don't need them. You can buy components from every other company but the big guys. Buy bullets, buy primers, find your cases, buy powders. Don't buy their completed ammunition. Let it sit on the shelf and rot. It's not actually going to rot, but that's the idea. Let their prices come down. If they can't sell it, then they're going to bring the prices down. It's a bunch of crap that the prices are still what they are. Let's do something about it. And again, this is for rifle calibers also. This isn't just pistol. I can make 308 right now for 50 cents a round. Quality 308. I can make 223 for 25, 30 cents a round. Quality. So don't believe what they tell you. It's very cost effective to do rifle ammunition. However, it's very labor intensive. There's more equipment to get into to buy, which we'll show you, and there's more processes that you have to go through for rifle ammunition. It's a lot bigger explosion. It does things to the brass. You have to reset. So I hope this helped you. I hope you understand reloading a little bit more, and maybe this helped you get off the fence and jump one way or another. Reloading's not for everybody, but if you were thinking about it and you just really were almost needing that little nudge, hopefully we gave you that nudge. Go do it. If anything else, if you can't save money here, let's say in a couple months all the ammunition comes back and you have to warehouse your stuff, shelve your stuff, fine, put it away. But again, we're going to have an ammo crisis soon. You know we're going to have an ammo crisis. It's always going to happen. Every 2 or 3 years, every weird election cycle, every bad thing that happens out there, this is going to happen again. Be prepared for the next time it's going to happen again. So even if you're not going to do it now, maybe get the equipment now, or be ready to get the equipment in the future. Prepare. Thanks for watching, and thanks to all of our Patreons. We really appreciate it. Until next time, stay safe, have fun, and keep shooting.